Greetings, astronomy laboratory students. How are you? Today we're going to be talking about those labs that we're going to be doing in the booklet that we have, right? Engaging in astronomical inquiry, right? Here's my well-used, well-worn booklet, Engaging in Astronomical Inquiry, second edition, right? So we're going to be talking about this. These are computer-based. To do these labs, you need to have a computer. So you need to either have one at home or come to campus, right? Do the distance, wear a mask and all that. There's computer labs available to you. You need you need to have a couple hours access on a computer. Ideally you want 3 or 4 hours because you want, well, eventually then you got to write your report. So you need another couple hours to do that. So you need to have a computer available to you. So for these labs, right, you're going to follow the labs in this book. And of course my copy, you can see, is I have notes all over it. I have all kinds of X's and notes to myself. This is a workbook, right? So when you're doing your labs, print out a copy or take notes, right? Some students don't want to. Some students, they just use a notebook, but somehow this is a book to think. When you're thinking, jot down things. I don't know, a notebook somewhere, right? These are computer-based. They all follow the scientific method. That's why this is a really good book. So you're learning about astronomy, but you're using the very structured scientific method that you all learned when you were in grade school, right? Remember in grade school, you formulate a hypothesis, and then you test your hypothesis to see if it's good. If the evidence is not in favor of your hypothesis, then you either have to throw your hypothesis away or modify it, right? And then you can make predictions based on that, and then draw further conclusions, right? So we're going to be doing all that. We do all of that in this lab, so it's really good. The first lab is going to be on galaxies, but before we get into galaxies, I want to talk about the steps that all the labs, all of these labs, all these computer-based labs are going to follow, right? So these labs, you're going to, as you go to a website, we use different websites for each lab, and you start going through the scientific method. So there's always an idea, there's always a theme. This first one is going to be on galaxies. We'll talk about what galaxies are. So there's always some idea that you're going to be pondering, right? Then there's exploration. There's a part where you're on a computer and you're exploring certain regions of outer space, right, of our galaxy, and you're exploring and you're learning, and then you're gathering evidence. So you're looking at specific things, and you're looking, well, what's the evidence of these galaxies? Are they different colors? And for instance, then you're going to use the evidence that you just gained to draw further conclusions, right? Sometimes, I know when I was in grade school, like, what, conclusions? Well, here you're going to do it. So you're going to see what they're talking about in the scientific method. You're going to draw further conclusions, right? And then you're going to be acting, you're going to be doing science the way science does it. So you're going through these exercises in the computer. You've gone through those steps. Then there's a section where you're going to draw conclusions based on other people's data. Scientists use other people's data all the time. We do that. When we talk about, there's 365 days in a year, right? Well, what's a year? We orbit the star, our star once, right? That's a year. And the Earth spins 365 times during one orbit of our star. Well, we use that for time. It's very convenient. So if you're 20 years old, right, you've gone around the star 20 times. We use that for time, right? It's convenient. Okay, so there's a section where you use other people's data. So you're given data. It's related to the lab, of course, and you're going to draw conclusions based on their data. Scientists do that all the time. Like I said, we know what time it is based on calendars that other people did, right? So we know that leap year's coming up. We use other people's data all the time, right? Then there's a section in the lab where now up to this point you will have been going through the computer program, different computer websites and stuff on the internet. you will have learned some techniques. You're going to use those techniques that you just learned to describe further phenomenon, and you're going to describe further phenomenon and how you would approach that. So how much would you write? You have to explain it to a level that a high school senior would understand, right? So you're the college student, and when you're writing, when you're describing how to determine something, you have to write it so that a high school senior, if he or she read your description, they would be able to duplicate it and get your results, right? So that's the level that you're doing it, right? Then these things always go to another section where you're formulating a research question. Like, what is that? Scientists formulate research questions all the time. It helps them focus. Right? Like right now, people are looking for, you don't just say I'm doing science or I'm doing astronomy. Right now, a lot of scientists are trying to find a vaccine, right, for COVID-19. So the research, and then they divide it into smaller steps. Some people might be saying, well, first we need to understand the virus better. So our task is to focus on what is the mechanisms by which the virus replicates itself, right? So that focuses them down to there. Other people are saying, well, we need to work. How does this vaccine work in humans, right? So you formulate a research question to help focus you will be doing that. So there's sections where you're going to formulate a research question, and that's going to help you. And then then you're going to use the techniques you just learned in this lab to answer that research question. So it's you're doing science in a very short, compact form. You're doing science the way research scientists do science for years and years and years. They follow this same method. So it's very powerful. What you're using is very powerful. It's how medicine is developed, right? It's how your cell phones work. Well, cell phones are a little bit different. That's technology. But the silicon and the things that your phone is based on, the science is done using a scientific method, right? So it's very powerful. And then there's always a summary. So you would do a summary, okay? So this lab always follows those steps. The good news is we're not going to do every single step in every single lab because that would be too much, right? I'm reasonable. Even though the lab wants you to, what I'll do is each lab we'll pick different portions of that so we can concentrate more on that, get a feel for it. But you're going to eventually do all those steps, but you're not always going to do them all in one lab. You will do them as we progress through the laboratories. Okay? See ya.